Watching all of this take shape is Congressman Mike Quigley, Democrat from Illinois, currently co-chairs the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus, has also spent a lot of time in Ukraine, including quite recently. Thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on your re-election.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Rather under different circumstances, but work to do.
Okay, I want to get to Ukraine policy. Before I do, just a political question here. Your district in the state of Illinois, blue state. We're still waiting for the final results, but it does look like that state, among several blue states, shifted right, 8 points in the case of Illinois. Why? Why do you think Democrats lost ground there?
Look, we can talk about all the other social issues. It has and always will be about the economy first. I saw the exit polling, and I think we can read into it. 62% think the nation's going in the wrong direction, 58% unfavorable on the current president, almost all that having to do with the economy. So I think that's your answer first and foremost. I think it swamped every other issue.
Okay, let's talk about Ukraine. You recently visited there. I'm curious how your Ukrainian contacts are reacting to this election. Are they fearful that Donald Trump will end U.S. military support for Ukraine and force Ukraine's hand into making a deal with Russia?
Look, very real concerns. We barely got the funding done out of the House last time because the House was in control of the Republicans. A handful of votes. The Reagan doctrine is dead among the Republican Party. So with the Trump presidency emboldening that, it's hard to imagine getting a funding package done. Obviously, President Trump doesn't want that. So that's the best case scenario. The worst case is he forces their hand into some sort of forced peace deal. And what does that mean? It means Putin's rewarded with land grabs for his attack on Ukraine. It means he's not held accountable for war crimes. Are there going to be any security concerns taken care of? It's a bleak picture at this point.
One of Trump's campaign advisors, Brian Lanza, gave something of a vision into Trump's plan. He told the BBC that what Trump is looking for is a, quote, realistic vision for peace, and that if President Zelensky comes to the table and says we can only have peace if we also have Crimea, he shows to us, this is Brian Lanza speaking, that he's not serious. Do you, and listen, by the way, in my own reporting, I know some Democrats who don't believe winning Crimea back, Crimea specifically, as separate from eastern parts of Ukraine, is realistic. Do you believe that Donald Trump will force Ukraine to give up land to make peace, including Crimea?
Well, I think no doubt he's going to force them to give up Crimea. The other concerns is all the other land, vital land to the economy, and the safety and future concerns and how to protect itself in the future. Putin's not going to take this as the final effort here. He's long had visions, not just beyond Ukraine, not just here, but beyond Ukraine. So for him to be given an extra footing deep in the heart of Ukraine, where he can restock, learn from his mistakes, rebuild, and understand that he's never going to be punished, never held accountable for the things he's doing. But we haven't even talked about the fact that the extraordinary cost of rebuilding Ukraine, is that part of these deals? Is Putin going to be held accountable for some of that? I doubt it under a Trump administration.
Listen, it wouldn't be the first time that Putin got away with a land grab. Georgia in 2008, Ukraine in 2014, and then again, I mean, I know, and as you know, that folks in Eastern Europe see that as in effect, welcoming the next land grab by Putin. I wonder, there's a point of view I will hear from some Trump supporters and some in his orbit that, listen, Trump does not want to be seen as weak. So while he doesn't love the Ukraine war, he also doesn't want Putin to come away from any deal, imagining that he got the better of Trump. One, do you buy that analysis? And does that give you hope that Trump, while in office, might say, well, actually, I'm going to push for something better. I'm not going to force Ukraine's hand?
Look, I'll hold out all hope if it gives some aid to what we're trying to accomplish there. But look, I've been, as you said, to Ukraine 4 times and Poland 5 times since the war started. All our military leaders from Ukraine, Poland, and the U.S. have said the same thing. Any rewarding of Putin's aggression invites further bloodshed not just there, but elsewhere in Eastern Europe. It is opening the door to that aggression. The voices from 1939 cry out and remind us that this sort of appeasement doesn't work. And if Trump wants to forever be the tough guy, well, let's be a tough guy to the guy who needs it most, Putin.
Yeah, think of Churchill, right? An appeaser is one who feeds the crocodile, thinking he'll be its last meal. I want to talk about Elon Musk's role in all this because for some reason he was on the call between Trump and Zelensky. At the beginning of the war, as you remember, Musk was actually a big advocate for Ukraine. He sent his internet service Starlink, which has been vital for the Ukrainian military. He has since changed and joined that Republican camp that has criticized Ukraine, talked about money waste. Where do you think Musk comes down on this? Could he, because of his early position on the war, maybe push Trump towards a more supportive position?
It's hard to figure, not being on the call, exactly what that means. I mean, he had his own peace plan in, I think, 2022 that Zelensky wasn't particularly happy with. But of course, he's gone along since then with the Trump plan. Is he on the call as a less than subtle reminder of Starlink and what that might mean? Further pressure on Zelensky to end the war quicker than he might want to and give up more than he might want to. It's all speculation now, but it's hard to see Musk as the great peacemaker who's concerned about Ukraine's autonomy.
One more question before we go. Do you fear that Trump might, again, we should remember, he tried to get out in the first term, at least briefly, from NATO. Do you believe that the U.S. participation, U.S. Being part of NATO, is in question in a second Trump term?
Look, I don't think he's changed his views on NATO at all. I mean, he has said some extreme things. Do you believe any of those at any one point? One is Putin can do whatever he wants to the NATO people who don't contribute enough. It is a great concern. And obviously it begins with what happens in Eastern Europe and Ukraine. I think it sends a message. Because if we were to cut off our aid to Ukraine, I think we're going to lose some NATO allies. I think Biden's biggest foreign policy accomplishment was uniting NATO against Putin and rebuilding that, and even adding them. And so, you know, it was really in trouble with, at the beginning of the Biden administration. Do we see the beginnings of trouble again for NATO under a Trump administration? I think there's real problems.
Congressman Mike Quigley, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.